is finally here and it is more powerful than I expected it to be. SBI recently buffed the Pyroblast, which is the E ability of the one-hand fire staff. They removed the aim rotation mechanic in favor of an auto-targeted skill. In this video, I will show you my entire build and of course, teach you how you can take advantage of the new Pyroblast. Front and center of course is the one-hand fire staff, which is going to emerge as one of the top weapons for Stalker Corrupted Dungeons. For the skills, I use Searing Flame on the Q ability, which is a skill shot and deals incredible direct damage plus damage over time. When you hit an enemy 3 times, this skill will be upgraded to the Furious Flame, which deals more initial damage and the same damage over time. The Furious Flame's overall damage is actually now higher than the quick cast damage of the E ability. This means you effectively have 2 skills that can deal high damage, which is one of the strengths of this build. You have several choices for the W ability. When facing melees, I always go with the Firewall, which creates a separation between you and your opponent, and it gives you the opportunity to deal damage and avoid it as well. This skill also fears your opponents, which can be used to cancel channeling abilities. Against ranged opponents, you can either go with Fire Artillery or Fire Wave. The artillery is best if you think your opponent is going to run away frequently, like how bow users usually do. Fire Artillery has a long range and is auto-targeted, plus it has both direct and damage over time. You can also use the Fire Wave for ranged opponents that brawls like Curse Staffs with the Grudge ability. This skill offers high damage over time, plus it has knockback, which can cancel skills with cast times and channeling skills as well. Make sure to use Searing Flame or any Q ability before using the skill to increase your overall damage. Moving on to the star of the show, the Pyroblast, which was buffed in this update. As I mentioned earlier, it is now auto-targeted with faster projectile speed. The range of this skill was reduced to 15 meters, but that is far enough for most fights that it doesn't even really matter. This skill's damage depends on how long you cast it. At full spec, a tier 6 fire staff deals 659 damage at 0-second cast time and can go up to 1186 when you cast it fully at 1.2 seconds, plus it does knock your opponents back at full cast. Although this skill is auto-targeted, it does not guarantee damage. It can be body blocked, meaning you need to have a clear line of sight to deal damage to your enemy. Just be aware of mobs that can block your Pyroblast. Players can also get away from the range of this skill. You can guarantee damage by taking advantage of the quick cast ability. I will explain more later in this video. I use the Taproot as an offhand item for this build because of the added health, but if you are looking to save on silver, you can swap this for a Mist Collar for better cooldowns, which is great for the already low CD of the Pyroblast. For the helmet, I use Hunter Hood, and yes, it was slightly nerfed this patch, but it is still the best for this build. The reflect damage was reduced from 100% to 85%, which in my opinion is not really a big deal, especially in Stalker Corrupted Dungeons. Enemies will still stop attacking when they see this skill, which will give you enough time to either disengage or deal more damage while they're not attacking. It also gives you more resistance, which reduces the damage that you take. For the chest piece, I use Cleric Robe, which when activated successfully, gives you immunity for 3 seconds and increases your damage by 20%. This skill is perfect for negating big damages from your opponents, and it works really well with the new Pyroblast because you can full cast the high damage skill without worrying about being reflected, plus the Cleric Robe gives you more damage. You can use any plate boots on Rejuvenating Sprint for this build, but I prefer to use Guardian Boots because I can switch to the Giant ability if the situation demands it. I also use the Limberscape for this build to regenerate energy, and I use Healing Potions and Pork Omelette for food and pots. The strategy here is fairly simple. Use your Q ability from afar to start dealing damage. Remember to take full advantage of the Furious Flame when it is available. Against melee, use your Firewall to create separation and negate their damages. When going against range, use the Fire Artillery to deal significant damage, especially when they're far away. Use the Fire Wave after hitting your Q ability when dealing with Brawl-type ranged weapons. You can use your E ability as a quick cast skill to deal medium damage with 0-second cast time. Use this to poke your opponents whenever possible. As mentioned earlier, you can pair your Cleric Robe with the full cast Pyroblast for an insane amount of damage. Use the Hunter Hood to discourage your opponents from attacking or to bait them to use one of their defensives as well. You can also use your Rejuvenating Sprint to catch up with your enemy and use the Pyroblast immediately. Even if the Pyroblast's range has been reduced, you can still use it from afar because the skill will still activate successfully as long as you start the initial cast. And that's pretty much it. Cycle through your skills and burn your opponents alive. Enjoy this build and the power of this newly buffed weapon. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below, or better yet, join us live on Twitch at BernStoneTV_Twitch, where we host daily giveaways for 7-day premiums, mount skins, and skin bundles.